G'day again. Okay, got a new issue with my Fairlane. Got a wheel bearing that's collapsed. Actually, it's not a new issue, it's an old issue. This started making a noise 6 months ago, and I put off doing it because I had a lot of expenses at the time, and because it had actually stopped whining, I'd forgotten all about it. Until yesterday, I was out in the freeway and yeah, it was wandering all over the road, and I thought I must have had a half-flat tyre or something, and I got off the freeway and checked all the tyres, they were fine. And then I thought I'd go and check the wheel nuts in case I'd forgotten to do them up. Yeah, one of them, a couple of them or something when I was working on it the week before, but they were all fine. And then my wife, who was sitting in the rear with the kids, said, "There's a noise coming from that left-hand rear wheel," and then it clicked, wheel bearing. So anyway, and I pulled on the wheel fairly hard, and you could feel the movement and hear it, clicking and whatever. So that was the issue. So nursed it back home, and bought myself a wheel bearing kit. This is what should come in your kit. There's a bearing, there's an inner and an outer here, because this is a tapered bearing, so the outer comes out from it, or it should. Actually, that doesn't appear to be separate. It has to be, sure. Unless it's a replacement as one piece, but anyway, it should be a two-piece. You also need this retainer. The reason being is that you tend to destroy them getting them off, so you definitely need that retainer, and then your seal. So check that you got all them before you begin the operation. Especially if it's the only vehicle you got, and you'd have to get back in town if it's incomplete. So okay. Getting it off. Right, obviously you have to jack it up. Put a stand under it as well, because you're going to be jiggling this around and whatever. You don't want it falling off the jack. Or in hydraulic jacks too, they blow a seal, they'll just fall anyway. So you never get under a car with just a hydraulic jack or any sort of jack. You always put a stand under it. I also stick the wheel under it as well, just as an extra safety thing. So if all else fails, it still can't get to the ground. The other thing, being a limited slip diff, and all these models have limited slip diff, they're all the same for the Falcon Fairlane in this model. But you have to get your other wheel off the ground. You only jack it up just enough so the wheel will turn. You have it in neutral, you have the handbrake off, and don't pull your handbrake on while you got the caliper off. You'll then have the issue of having to wind it all back. Given this has got a park brake on the caliper, there's a procedure in pulling the piston back. You can't just push it back with a clamp like like a regular caliper. So I had to actually tap the thing off, so I'm hoping I can just tap it back on again too without. So I don't really want to have to go back through the procedure of winding it and whatever. The other thing I found, I did unclip the line because it wasn't quite enough to get the caliper off. Then I found that this backing plate, goes over the top of back of these bolts anyway. I couldn't get a span on it without undoing the plate, and if I'd just undone that to begin with, well, I wouldn't have had to unclip it. But funny thing, these model Fairlanes, and it's possibly the same with the Falcons, they've got a mixture of metric and AF nuts and bolts on them. So like these are an AF, they're a 1/2 inch spanner on the back of the bolt, 9/16 on the nut. But the plate's held on with 6mm bolts. It's which is a 10mm spanner. So, yeah, funny thing with that. So, anyway, yeah, get all that off. You go to get your disc rotor off. Firstly, you got a countersunk Phillips screw. Take that out. Yeah, spray a bit of WD or lubrication around here, around all your studs, and even then you'll have to hit it with a hammer because they sort of get rusted on. So, but yeah, don't hit the outer surface of your disc. You don't want to buckle it or damage it. So you just whack on this surface. Just go around, keep whacking it, it'll come loose. So yeah, and then to get the axle itself out. Of course, you have to undo all these get these nuts off first, because that goes onto this plate here. That's the retainer, so you have to undo that first. Yeah, and then you just get a short bit of chain. Same if you were doing a drum brake one to pull the axle out. Just get a short bit of chain, bolt it onto your rotor, then you throw the other bolt through one of the holes in your axle hub, and you just use this. This is basically just you're sort of making a slide hammer sort of thing. So you just use that as a weight. Pull it up and you whack it back like that 2 or 3 times, and the axle will come right out. And of course the outer cup of the bearing will remain in the axle housing, and because I used the slide hammer for that. I wasn't sure that I'd have to make another fitting, because I don't sort of use this slide hammer that often, but I've had to make up different fittings, and I wasn't sure if this little hook here was going to be enough to pull the cup out, but it did. It came out pretty easy actually. So yeah, there was no drama with that, pulling the cup out. However, when you get onto these bearings itself, that's a different matter. These are majorly tight on this axle, and normally it's this retainer that's the issue, that's the hard one to get off. But anyway, this one came off fairly easy. I used a cold chisel and a 4-pound lump hammer. Yeah, gave it a few whacks and off I come. Sit down, no problem. But as I said, normally they're on harder than the actual bearing. And yeah, on previous cars when I've done these, I've had to actually get the angle grinder and cut most of the way through the bearing, then whack it with the chisel until it splits, and then it'll open up and it'll come off easy. But yeah, this one just came off anyway. However, the bearing itself, wasn't able to just chisel off, and you can see how that's all completely destroyed. That was done from me whacking it with the chisel. Same as on here. After that came off, and then I was whacking this edge with the chisel, this lip here, and that snapped off, and the bearing still hadn't moved at all. So then I got the angle grinder out, and I cut about halfway through it, and you're sort of hesitant to go too far, and like it's on an angle too. You got this plate on the way, and because I'd already knocked all that off anyway, I was able to get the screwdriver and get the seal back over the top of the base of the bearing, and pull that out of the way. And but I sort of cut about halfway through it with the angle grinder, and hesitant to go any further, and I thought, well, I'll hit it with the chisel and see if it'll crack. And it doesn't appear as though it has actually cracked the bearing, but that cutting it halfway through must have been enough for it to release and open that little bit, because as soon as I started hitting with the chisel this time, it just came off. So as I said, whereas Yeah, previously I'd been whacking at that and whacking it and whacking it, and it hadn't moved. And yeah, so I said that just cutting halfway through it must have been enough for it to release. And yeah, again, when you're chiseling it too, be careful. You don't want to damage the surface when you on your axle. I mean, it's not that critical, I suppose. You know, you do damage it, clean it up a little bit with the file, but yeah, try not to damage it anyway. So anyway, yeah, the procedure for getting it back on, like I've got a hydraulic press here, so I'll just press them pieces back on. I'll get I'll find something. Hopefully I've got another spacer or something. Actually, I'll probably use the old one now. I'll take that off. I'll finish cutting it till it splits, and I'll find something else that will fit, yeah, sort of loosely over here, and yeah, yeah, push against that without damaging it. And I'll press them back on. But well, if you don't have a hydraulic press, you could get a bit of heavy pipe, a bit of water pipe or something that's longer than the axle, and you could probably build them back on with a hammer. But yeah, better to use a press. It's the jarring and the thing you could actually cause it to crack. So yeah, it's not a good idea to bash a new bearing. So yeah. Anyway, oh yeah, one more thing. Retainer has a bevel. Has a bevel on the side that faces the bearing, which is there, the outside of it, the outer surface. So yeah, make sure you put your new retainer on the right way. So, okay, well I think I've just about covered everything here. You look up the torque, the right torque for those bolts. Not that terribly critical. What they're around 10 mil size. They'll handle 50 pound easy. And I'll look up the torque. It's probably less than my torque wrench. My torque wrench only goes as low as 70 anyway. It's probably less than that, so I'll probably be guessing at that. But yeah, I've been doing this sort of thing for close to 50 years. So I've got a pretty good idea of how much torque I'm putting on things. So yeah, I can take a pretty accurate guess, or an educated guess at the torque when I'm doing it up. So, but yeah, as I said, if it's more than 70, I'll get my torque wrench out, and if it isn't, well, I'll be taking a guess at it. And, but yeah, things like this is, especially if you're not that experienced, get your torque wrench and do it up to the right setting. The other thing with this, or why I mentioned why you have to jack the other wheel up, is that being a limited slip diff, you can't just turn one axle. You have to have the other wheel off the ground, and even then it's hard to turn. I've had to put this big screwdriver in here like this, and you turn it until your holes line up. So you got these until they line up with your nuts, and then put your socket through, and your spanner on the back. So, and the other thing I'll do, if you're taking your bearing off, and if your bearing's absolutely collapsed, shit itself completely, and you've got all chunks of metal in here, well then it's, you'd want to flush the whole thing out with a solvent, Kero diesel, petrol, something. Make sure you get all of them shavings out. But yeah, I'm going to change the oil, but I'm not going to I'm not going to bother flushing it out. I mean, I can feel the oil. There's no grit in there. That's fine. So yeah, I'll just change the oil anyway, in case there is a little bit somewhere further up. And I mean, it's probably due to be changed anyway. So I don't know how long this oil's been in it. I haven't changed it. So yeah, I'll change it anyway. All right. Well, I think I've covered everything here. Yeah. Oh, your caliper. Getting your caliper off. It's just your 2 bolts. I actually put a bit of lock nut. They're not done up that tight. They're only like an 8mm bolt. So you can't put any extreme amount of pressure on them. So yeah, 8mm is usually done up around 25 pound or something. Yeah, which is bugger all. Like 25 pound, you can put more than 25 pound, or an average man can anyway, put more than 25 pound on a wrench that long. So yeah, as I said, I've been doing this for a long time. I got a pretty good idea how much pressure I can put on a bolt that size without damaging it, or or without leaving it loose so that it comes undone. But yeah, being a brake caliper, I'll put a bit of Loctite on them bolts anyway. Looks like it's, well, that'd be my Loctite anyway, actually, because I've had this caliper off. I changed pads in it. So yeah, I'll re-Loctite that again. And check your calipers that these pins can move. They should be able to move freely. And I would have re-greased them when I did the pads. So yeah, but check them, because if they're, if they jam up, well, your brakes are not going to work properly to start with, or you're going to be wearing one pad not the other and stuff like that. So right, as I said, if you do have to get your piston back in the caliper, I've made a video on how to wind it back, so look that up if you need to. Okay, thanks for watching, and hit like, please. Bye.